Generally, there are two major categories of depression: chemical and situational. Chemical depression arises from an imbalance of hormones that may be corrected by medication, such as antidepressants. Situational depression arises from a sad life event, such as divorce or death, that might correct itself over time once the situation is alleviated. Is it possible that there is actually a third type, something we might call spiritual depression? Spiritual depression comes from the realization that life is not perfect and there is much suffering in the world. In other words, spiritual depression comes from the knowledge that the world may never give us the complete and permanent happiness that we seek. In a way, spiritual depression stems from a loss of innocence. Just as an adult cannot go back to being a child again in the material world, an enlightened soul cannot go back to being blind again in the spiritual world. And the only way to heal is to go forward, not backwards. Those with chemical depression can go to doctors for medication. Those with situational depression can go to counselors for therapy. Those with spiritual depression can only go to spiritual teachers for healing. Trying to treat a spiritually depressed person with drugs or therapy is not the answer. And I believe it is important to understand this, because many of us who experience spiritual depression are often misunderstood or dismissed as being pessimistic or ungrateful. It is not politically correct to call yourself depressed. It is more acceptable to call yourself enlightened. But I believe they are two sides of the same coin. In fact, I believe many famous celebrities, who we admire for being spiritual and positive, grapple with painful episodes of spiritual depression as well. Jim Carrey, Oprah, Mother Teresa. These are all famous people who have explored spiritual or self-help topics. But underneath their positive words or actions lies an anguished, searching soul. Mother Teresa asked that her pain-filled letters to friends be destroyed. She did not want people knowing that she struggled with doubts and darkness. But I believe it is important to know that she did. Spiritual depression is nothing to be ashamed of. It does not indicate that there is something wrong with you. Instead, I believe that those with spiritual depression are in fact sensitive souls. Rather than focusing only on themselves, they are filled with compassion for those around them. And in fact, spiritual depression and suffering is oftentimes the catalyst leading to spiritual enlightenment. Make no mistake, spiritual depression is real and painful, but it can also be the start of an amazing journey.